So bye bye, Miss American Pie. Join my Chevy to a levee, but the levee was dry. Good old boy, we're drinking whiskey and wine, saying this will be the day that I die. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the Deadline Internet Podcast, episode 29. It is Sunday, the 23rd of the 2nd, 2020. I'm your host, Phoenix Trinidad, and I don't know if you could tell by the opening song that I just sung then, but I've just come back straight from the pub from watching the Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder fight number 2, and I gotta admit, I'm a little drunk. It's good. This is my plan all day, right? I was like, you know what? I haven't done a podcast since last October. This is the time. I set everything up in the morning, and then I went to the pub. I watched the fight, had a great time, sunk a few beers. I'm trying to keep it, a bit more low carb, so I was on the gin and sodas, and now I'm here after the fight, which is great. Doing a podcast. I haven't done one of these in a long time, and what a fucking fight! By the way, if you're not a boxing fan, and if this is your first time listening to this podcast, I don't know why it would be. Actually, I do know why it would be, because if you've only just met me in the recent past 3 months or so, you wouldn't know that this podcast exists. And probably if you've known me in the past 10 years, you might not know that this podcast exists. I don't really talk about it much. I don't really do it much, to be perfectly honest. But I do have plans to rekindle it this year. Look, I just do it whenever. Every time I do one of these things, I'm like, I've got plans to do more of these. Of course I've got plans to do it. I just do it, whenever I want to do it. Anyway, so today I watched the Deontay Wilder fight against Tyson Fury, and that was a motherfucking good fight. It wasn't as, obviously it was a complete domination by Tyson Fury, but just as a spectacle, it was amazing. First of all, Tyson Fury comes out in, I don't know what you like. He comes out dressed as a king, and then he's got one of those, those platforms where you're like the throne. He's got the throne sitting on top of a platform, and the platform's being carried by the slaves, I guess they're supposed to represent, which is so great. But also, I don't know. You're fighting a black guy. Previously he went viral for going on a rant about how black people are still fighting for their rights and stuff to this day. And then he comes out in this fight looking like royalty with slaves. It's an amazing, the balls on this guy is just incredible, and he came out, and Deontay Wilder had an equally confusing entrance too. He came out, first of all, he had Deontay Wilder, big black guy from Alabama. He comes out with this he's this rapper who's rapping he rapped non-stop. The entrance itself probably took an hour in total from him to get to the change rooms to the ring, and the whole time he had this hype man at the front of the posse rapping the whole time. He went through 100 bars of whatever rapper. I didn't hear a single lyric. I couldn't understand a single thing. I assume it was hyping up the fight. Deontay's the best. Blah 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 blah. But I'm more just impressed that he had the lung capacity. He's probably a fighter himself. Without lung capacity, that rapper could probably last 12 rounds himself. Anyway, so he comes out. Deontay Wilder comes out in dressed as, I don't know, he looked like one. He looked like he's just dressed in this armor with black glitter and sequins and shit. He looked like a gay version of those wraiths from Lord of the Rings. The guys on the horses with all that is chasing Frodo and stuff in Lord of the Rings. That's what he looked like. He looked like a gay, more eccentric version of that. And man, both of those, that's the thing about boxing, man. Both of those entrances are such a gamble, because both of those entrances look like something where you'd be like, okay, this is definitely the type of entrance where this dude needs to lose this fight. It's it's too perfect, the setup. It's he went too overboard. He has to lose this fight now. But then it sort of equaled each other out because they both did it. They both came out looking like they're fucking cartoon characters. And I gotta admit, it was so enjoyable, so enjoyable. It was a great fight. It was a great fight. Because if you saw the first one, Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder, #1, it was a great fight. Much more boxing. Fury was dancing a lot. It was just mostly looked like he was trying to avoid that knockout right cross that Deontay Wilder has. But this fight was just a domination from Tyson Fury. It was great. He came out aggressive. He just dominated the fight. I think he knocked him down in like the third round or something. Unreal, man. Tyson Fury too is like a hell of a character. Like I don't know what that guy's deal is, but he's the Gypsy King, whatever. But there's something so likable about him too, because he doesn't move traditionally like a bot. Like he looks, I don't know. Like I know he's obviously like he could knock the fuck out of me if he wanted to, obviously. But there's something when he's in the ring, he just looks goofy as fuck. Like he's a goofy dude, but he's like even his head movement and stuff, he just looks goofy. Like he looks like a guy that just got turned into a giraffe. Like some wizard came along and was like, "Bam, you're a giraffe now." And then like he's like, "Oh god!" Like it's like he can't control his neck. Like he doesn't know how his neck is supposed to move. But it worked well, man. It worked well. Congratulations, Mr. Tyson Fury. And that dude is a psycho, man. I mean, and all credit to Deontay Wilder too. He fought it out like a champion. Like he was obviously rocked. He was on like baby Bambi legs from like after he got knocked down in the third or the third. I think he got knocked down in the third, and then ever since then he was fucked. Wilder he's an animal, man. Like I think in the fifth round or sixth round he was like performing cunnilingus on Deontay Wilder's neck. just slurping up some blood for some reason. Like that dude is a psycho. And he just made it look easy. That's not an easy thing to do. He just made it look easy. It's a great fight. I watched it in a pub. I started at one pub where they weren't showing the fight actually, but then we moved to another pub. It was like me and two other friends, and we moved to another pub, and the crowd there is so much better watching a big fight. Like if you've never watched a big fight in a pub, you owe it to yourself to do it because it was amazing. It was amazing. The crowd really makes it. Otherwise it would have just been me, watching it in this other pub on my phone, just sort of yelling at myself. It wouldn't have been fun. But when the crowd is really into it, and it's not like we were at the fight, but it was great. And then obviously Fury wins, and then he starts singing, like he starts doing karaoke in the middle of the ring, which is great because I feel like as a Filipino, that's pretty much what I would do. That's what I would do. That's we take any prime opportunity to show off our karaoke skills. I wouldn't be surprised if Fury is secretly Filipino. Just start singing American Pie. Oh man, brutal. Great fight. Good time. And I miss the. It's summer. I'm not really a cricket guy, so I don't really watch I don't really go to pubs and watch cricket. I watch the footy sometimes in pubs, but not so much like summer sports. So it's been a little while. I liked it. There's shout out to the Matthew Flinders Sports Bar in somewhere in Chadstone or whatever. Although it was a little bit of a weird experience because there's like these kids in the pub, which is always a good thing. Like that's what you want, right? You want kids running around, and there's just like these two kids, and there was not even a suggestion of parental like observation at any point. There was just two random kids walking around, and one of them got up on the pool table, and there was the other one that was like super arrogant. And for some reason, like he just started throwing the billiard ball like off the table and was just throwing it at like head height too. Like that could have hit somebody and knocked them out. And I would have been, somebody would have been like on baby giraffe legs, like fucking Deontay Wilder in the middle of the pub. and nobody is doing a thing. You know. I mean, by this point, everybody's pretty fucked. I was pretty fucked. I still am. But you know, who like? But I was looking around. I was like, who the fuck is? Who's looking after these fucking kids? Whose kids are these? Yeah, and all the adults that were interacting with the kids definitely weren't their parents because they were having fun with them. None of the adults looked like they'd given up yet because whoever the parents of these kids were, there was like 2 5-year-old boys and like a 3-year-old girl or whatever, and they were just running around in this fucking Australian pub. One of them had no shoes on. I couldn't believe it. And then clearly these parents had just either given up or the kids belong to the pub, you know. And these kids definitely, they're never going to leave that pub. They're there from the ages of 5. They'll grow up there. They'll probably become a glassy by the time they're 16. And then they'll just start drinking there and they'll never leave it. I don't think they're ever going to leave it, you know. Unless one of them hits it big on the pokies, they might be able to escape. But, I felt bad for him. Anyway, this 5-year-old kid, he comes up to me. And, he threw a billiard ball and it, rolled past my foot. And I think he must have thought that I kicked it away or something. And then, this kid, he came up to me, he picked up the billiard ball, and then he was, holding it up against me like he was about to throw it at my head. And it's, a 5-year-old kid. And, I don't know what to do in that situation because it's not my kid. But, first of all, that's fucking rude. You don't threaten to throw something at another human being like that. And I know he's a kid. But he's so lucky. Even if he's clearly his parents weren't there. But if it was just me and this kid in this pub, I would have punted him across the road into an oncoming Uber. Who was looking after this kid? Look after your fucking kids. Don't bring a kid into a pub and then just let them loose. I know it takes a village to raise a kid or whatever, but it's not in a fucking pub. I'm trying to watch a fight. Why am I now? I'm putting myself in danger of getting arrested for assaulting a child because some cunt couldn't fucking raise his little shit. I don't know. Either, if you're going to bring your kid to a pub, look after him, Don't just let them loose in the billiard room. Anyway. That was my that was my afternoon, It was a good game. It was a good match. So it was a good fight. All the best to Deontay Wilder. I don't know what's supposed to happen next. I guess one of them is meant to fight Anthony Joshua. After he beat up that fat Mexican dude. Andy Ruiz. But yeah, all the best. I'm really excited for this year. It's already been such a great year for combat sports. But upcoming, you still got Adesanya to fight Yoel Romero, so Khabib Ferguson, knock on wood, hopefully that still happens. It's going to be a good year. But, I don't know. This podcast, I don't know the topic of this podcast anymore, It's called Death by Internet. I haven't done it in 3 months. Now I'm talking about boxing and MMA. Yeah, who knows? I just do what I want. I do what I do when I want to do what I do, I've never been drunk on this podcast either before. So that's new. Maybe this is what I have to do now every time. This is my only way of motivating myself to sit down and fucking do this thing. Anyway. What else is news? What's going on with you guys? How you been? It's been a while since I've spoken to you. I watched that movie Parasite the other week. Parasite, that was the one that won Best Picture. That's a great fucking movie, by the way. If you guys haven't seen Parasite, you should go see Parasite. It's one that won Best Picture. It's a South Korean movie. You got to be able to read, just so you know, just before anybody. Before you go, if you're not a subtitle person, I don't suggest this movie. Actually, you could probably watch this movie just without the subtitles because the visuals are it's shot fucking schmick. It's a well shot film. It's by the South Korean director whose first name is Bong, which is great. That's always good, isn't it? And he did that movie Snowpiercer. That's the only other movie that I've seen that he did that I liked. I like that movie a lot though too. It was set in a train with Captain America. Captain America is fighting from the back of the train to the front of the train. It's good. It's good stuff. Highly recommend. Anyway, Parasite. I don't know. I don't know how to explain that movie. It's weird. It's good. It's worth watching. I think the best way to watch it is to not know anything about it. All you got to know is that it's subtitles, and I don't know if it was the best movie of the year. I don't think I saw any of the other movies that were nominated for Best Picture, but I don't know. And they made a big deal. I feel like it only won Best Picture at the Oscars because the Oscars are all fucking, they're super woke and they just want to make, you know, you want to have like a first every year. So this is the first foreign film or whatever to make Best Picture, which is great. Fucking congratulations to Mr. Bong. But I don't know. It doesn't really mean anything anyway. But it does. It is a good movie. It is worth watching. Uh, but there's this one scene, and I didn't know anything about it before I watched it, and I was like, what is this? Is this going to be like a thriller or like a horror or like a dark comedy? And I think it's mostly dark comedy. It has a lot of like themes, like a lot of metaphors for I guess like class structure and anti-capitalism and all that sort of shit, which is the same as sort of Snowpiercer, but this one is like way more. I wouldn't say grounded, but there's this man. I mean, spoiler alert too. There's a scene. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. There's a scene where this girl she gets kicked down the stairs, and like I know it's bad to be laughing at that, but that is the funniest fucking thing I've seen. Like I haven't laughed out loud at a movie in so long, and like even comedies, like a lot of comedies suck these days. But I haven't, I haven't laughed at a movie in a long time. And there's this one scene where, and it happens like that's why it's so funny because it just happens so quickly. But it's such a perfect. It's called a teep, that front kick to the chest, just bang, and she just gets kicked down the stairs, and it's just just the greatest moment in a movie that I've seen in a long time. I don't know why I like that so much, but anyway, it's worth watching. You should see more. If you're not used to it, you should definitely watch more movies from other countries because you get like that's the best way to like sort of figure out other cultures and stuff. You expand your mind a little bit. If you can't afford to go to South Korea, just watch a South Korean movie. It's the same thing. Travel broadens the mind, but travel is fucking expensive. So watch some fucking watch some world cinema. That's how they do it, right? And I don't know why. Like I obviously like I'm fucking Asian, so I've seen my fair share of world cinema. Um, like I don't even. It's not even because I'm Asian. You know why? You know why I like world cinema? Why I like foreign films? Because when I was younger, and this is going back to like the '90s, early 2000s or whatever, the only way that I could find like titties on TV was when I would watch like SBS, like world movies on SBS, like late at night. Because because you just knew that every time you turn on SBS past 9 o'clock, there's like an 80% chance that you're gonna see some titties. And that's how they get you. They trick you. That's how they trick you. That's how those foreigners, those filthy foreigners, they trick you into watching good cinema. Because it's like, well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put some titties in here, and that'll rake in some new audience and sort of Anyway, that's what I did. That's how I got. That's how I expanded my. That's why I accidentally became a film buff, as I was looking for titties, and on SBS, and ended up started watching a lot of foreign French film. I actually remember. You know what? I remember. I think I remember the exact movie too that I decided that. Oh yeah, fucking French cinema and world cinema is actually pretty good. There's this movie with Marion Cotillard. She's that French. She was like she was in Batman, the third Batman movie, and she was in this movie, this French film called Je Défends, which is like this weird French movie called I think it means like Love Me If You Dare, and it was like this weird take on toxic relationships where this couple would find each other. They met in childhood and they would find each other throughout life because they were playing this like weird game, but the game kept continuing throughout their entire lives. And then it was so weird. And like at the start, obviously there's some titties at the start, and that's how I got into it. That's the first scene that I saw. I'm like, oh yes, fuck yeah, titties. So I was like, I don't know, 12 years old or something. Like, yeah, titties on SBS. And then I started watching it, and I kept watching it, waiting for more titties. And then I got engrossed in the characters in the film and the writing and the cinematography. And I'm like, hey, you know what? This is a pretty good film. These bastards, they got me. And you know what? I reckon that is a solid strategy. I reckon Netflix is actually doing that now. Because and I'm not, I'm probably going to sound like a creep with this, but if you look at there's some certain series on Netflix where they put a lot of titties in the first couple of episodes, and then the rest of the series is not really any titties, but you're watching it anyway because you're already engrossed by the characters that you met in the first episode, but you were only really watching the first episode because there's titties, but then you keep watching because you want to see more titties. It's a good strategy, I think I figured it out. I figured you out, Hollywood. I know what you're up to, you fucking weirdos. Man, I probably shouldn't drink and do podcasts. I honestly can't remember what I was talking about. Anyway, yeah, Jules Défense. It's a good movie. I've only talked about 3 fucking things on this podcast. You know what? That might be it. I've got a lot of regret about doing this. I probably shouldn't have done this. To be perfectly honest, I don't know why I thought that I haven't done a podcast in a while. You should get drunk and do one. That's a good idea. Yeah. All right. Cool. Anyway, decisions. As you can see, I haven't caught up with this podcast audience in a long time, and as you can tell, my life is it's fine. It's fine. I'm getting drunk and doing podcasts by myself, talking to myself like a complete psycho. That's a normal thing for humans to be doing, right? My life hasn't completely fallen off the wagon yet, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Anyway, I think that's it from me today. Congratulations again to Tyson Fury. Go watch Parasite. It's a good movie. And, bye.